welcome back. Today we're going to be continuing the Death Guard. So from the first part, and I may stitch all these videos together just to make it a little bit easier. In the first part we did this base color, which we are using Woodland Camo from Warpaints Fanatic, which is the darkest of the olive greens, which I kind of like. Is a little bit of a desaturated green, and it's kind of the traditional Death Guard colors. Now, just to kind of highlight what we're doing for this section is we're going to be laying in the base colors for basically everything else on the model. And so, first thing that we're going to look at is we're going to use Moldy Wine, which is a desaturated violet, and we're going to use this to fill in our little friends, our little, the Nurglings, the little guy hanging off our pauldron. All these little cutie patooties. So we're going to base coat them that color, which I think contrasts as well with the green. And also, we're going to make them look really fleshy and gross and nasty, and that's going to look great. Also, the models will have different little features. Like this guy has like some pulsy, like worm-like veins coming out of his legs, or like there's a little bit leaking out of his gut there. And you know, they all have different little gross bits. And so, yeah, we're just going to be picking out all those like little weird tendrils, any open maws, any giant gaping wounds. We're going to do that first. And normally you want to shake these up, but I did shake them up before the video started because I have one of those little vortex mixers, and honestly, I love it. Got it for like 20 bucks. I highly recommend. So I'm just going to get my brush, get a little bit of paint. I'm using a smaller brush. This is a size 2. This is just like a really cheap. I got these in a like 10 pack for I think like 8 bucks. So not anything crazy. They're just cheap brushes, and I'm just kind of looking around the model and I'm trying to find those areas where we got a little bit of goopy goop happening. A little bit of fleshy bits. So I'm trying to be careful in this part. My last step I was kind of like, yeah, just go ham. Also, I'm picking out parts like this part of the forearm here where the armor has chipped away and is like a wound. I'm going to try to pick out those locations too, but like for shallower divots like these, I'm going to leave those because later these are excellent places to put like verdigris and other kind of like rust and battle damage effects. So I'm just kind of looking around, and I don't see a lot. I do see these little things, so I'm going to get some of these highlighted with a little bit of this moldy wine color. And you might ask, okay, well, why aren't you finishing all the greens, like doing all the layering for that and getting the highlights going? And that's a good question. Why I'm not jumping to that step is because what we're doing now, by doing it this way, like I'm very likely to make a mistake and get some of this desaturated violet on a place I don't want to get it. Like that's just going to happen. And it's not a problem though if you kind of paint in this way, because you can easily clean up. Like when we come in to highlight these armor panels, like, you know, say I'm painting this tentacle and I get a little paint there and it's like, oh no, I didn't mean to do that. One thing you could do is I'm getting the paint off of my brush. I'm getting a little bit of water on the tip of it, and I'm just going to rub it around on that spot. Okay, just going to rub it around. I'm going to dry my brush off, and I'm going to soak up some of that water. Maybe get a little bit more water on my paintbrush. Just rub it a little bit more. And there's still like a little bit of that violet mark there, but when we layer up the next layer of green over that, that's going to just disappear. We're not going to worry about it. So like that's going to be fine. And so now I'm just getting paint on my brush again. I'm trying to aim for a smooth consistency, and I'm going to paint our little friends. So these little guys, I'm just going to do their whole body. I'm not going to worry about their toenails and like all the little fiddly bits that you can really get fixated on. I'm just going to do the whole thing. Get a little bit more paint. Make sure it's nice and smooth. And yeah, so I'm just covering this little guy. And you can see, well, maybe you can't because of the angle there, but on his back there, he didn't really get a full prime. You can kind of see it behind his legs. He didn't really get completely covered, but it's okay. Like I was saying, we don't worry about it too much. We're fixing some of these problems as we go. And I think, for me at least, this is kind of how I like to handle it. Like, don't stress out about it. And remember that you're just painting little demons, you know? You're just painting little monsters and little guys, and it's fine. And this guy who's getting a little piggyback ride on the horn, gonna get him situated. Now I know that I'm gonna have to paint over this guy because when we do the horn base coats, I'm probably gonna hit him. Not intentionally, but you know, it's a little detail, it's a little fussy, and you know, that's just the reality sometimes. And you might notice that with a brush that has a smaller tip like this, I'm kind of having to go back and get paint more frequently, and that's just that the brush has a smaller reservoir. It's holding less paint, and also the paint that it's holding is drying out faster. And so you're going to find that you have to clean your brush a little more frequently, get a little bit of that water on your brush, and just make sure that you're keeping it workable. And technically you can do this kind of painting with a larger brush if you have a good tip on that brush. However, a lot of my brushes are very cheap and they don't hold a tip very well, which is a problem if you're trying to do precision work. But you know what, that's okay. So this guy, we got his pink base coat. Again, doesn't look like much right now, but it's okay. We're going to move on to the next little guy. Try to work with this paint while it's still fresh. I'm going to start with the little friend first. So, just going to get him. He's got a bunch of little grenades and stuff. And I'm not going to worry about getting pink all over that or violet all over that. We'll paint over those in due course. Because one of the next colors we're going to do is a priming, kind of a priming for the some of the metallics. And you can do a dry brush of like, you know, a nice like silver or metallic color over black, and it tends to look pretty good when you dry brush like that. However, sometimes I find that with other colors like a gold, getting between his legs to get the back of the little Nurgling because it's hard to reach. This is another argument for maybe doing, what do you call it? Painting it separately and not gluing it to the base right away. Actually, I should wash this out. Make sure there's not too much water on it. And yeah, some of those little bits, it's tough to make sure that they're appearing properly. So this guy has a detail. I'm deciding I'm going to make violet. He's got these little pustules that are breaking through the armor, and I'm just going to put little dots of this violet there for those pustules, and he's got some more on the front of his leg there you can kind of see here. So I'm just going to put little dots of the paint on that. And again, a little bit of it's going to get on the armor panel itself, and it's okay because we're going to clean that up later. This one's a nice example. This is another one of these pustules right here. So I'm going to get that covered up. And do we got any more? Not right there, at least. And his upper body, he's just got an awful lot of grenades. He's got a little bit of a divot here. I'm going to just try to poke a little bit of that violet in there. And I'm okay with it being a little messy. Like I said, we'll clean it up after. But with these guys, they're kind of gross anyways. So that can work in our favor. He's got a little spigot that's leaking goo. You can kind of see it curving up his back here. I'm going to do that in a fleshy color. It might be an actual tube, like that we could paint black or something like that. I'm going to assume that it's like some kind of weird intestinal lining or something, because that feels in character with these guys. So we got some horns there. We got a couple more divots on his back here, on the back of his leg, kind of near his butt. I'm going to just dip a little bit of this violet into the recesses of that. Just a little bit. And we've also got some on the back of this particular leg. So I'm going to put a little bit in there too. And then I think... Oh, no, almost missed some. He's got a little on his forearm that's holding this grenade. There's like a tubey worm looking bit. And ultimately you could paint this however you like, but I'm going to paint it like it's exposed fleshy bits or some kind of parasitic worm that's hanging out in there. Okay, so let's get this guy out of here. So we've got this sorcerer next. Now, I don't know what color I want to do the magical stuff in. I mean, kind of a sickly purple might be nice for that. And we've got a bunch of flies. I'm thinking I might try to do some of the flies in like a color shift paint, because I think that that could be fun. Like, you know how some of the flies got this like kind of greenish blue kind of metallic look to them. I think that that could be really fun. Now this one, he's stepping on something that I think I'm going to call a grub. I mean, who knows what it really is, but it's basically just a big slimy thing that's got a little mouth, and it looks like it's puking up some stuff. And so I feel like that's another good candidate for our violet here. Okay. He's got some maggots coming out of his leg. You can kind of see them right there on that left bit. And I'm just going to poke. I'm going to paint the maggots this color as well. This is kind of just further illustrating the point that this is fine. Like, we can color over this stuff. It's nothing to be worried about. Now, he's got a nasty chest wound here. It's got a lot of stuff coming out of it, and I think that's also, you know, a good candidate for our violet. So we're just going to go through, we're going to fill that up. And, you know, we're going to try to be careful, and if we make a mess, then that's okay. The parts of the shoulder pads here, like that are damaged, I'm just going to dip a little bit of that in there. And I think in general, this guy is almost ready. He's got a little cabling on his leg, and I kind of want to be consistent. And since I did the cabling as this kind of color with the previous guy, I'm going to do that for this one too. And let's see. Anything else? No, I don't think so. And yeah, I think I'm going to do the magical smoke a different color. Although I think the back of this grub is here, so we should make sure we don't miss that. Yeah, let's get the... It's a little hard to see that, but underneath the leg, the side of the grub was exposed, so I wanted to make sure that got that covered. And I'm not worrying about getting stuff on the base because, like I mentioned before, we're gonna cover over the vast majority of that. So now this guy has got a lot. He's got a lot of this. So I'm actually gonna clean my brush. I'm gonna get a bigger brush. I'm gonna use the one I was doing the base coats in, which is a size 8. You can see it's not in great condition. It's starting to split. It's got a little hook on the end. Yeah, it's seen better days. But just give it a little twist, a little bit of paint, and we can get started. So you can see he's got a lot of tentacles here. Like his whole torso is really busted up. And so we're gonna just get in there. We're gonna start painting it. I'm gonna try to be careful again, but not stress about getting paint on stuff. Yeah, I'm just kind of going down here. These guys are kind of fun. I haven't painted them in a very long time. It's not really an army I collect, but I do like the little gross guys. It is fun. Trying to get the inside of those tentacles. And technically the backside of these are, still black. But much like the capes situation, no one's going to see that. So I'm trying to get a little bit of that stuff that's on the back, but I'm not worrying about it because that's silly. We can just take it easy. We paint what we can see and easily get to. And if it really is a concern, you can paint in sub-assemblies and, paint things before you glue them, leaving the contact points clean, or at least, being in a position where you can sand them down. And then, yeah, you can paint that way too if you prefer, if you're much more structured than I am. But I'm a little loose and free with this stuff. I like to just kind of do what I'm feeling in the moment and go from there. So this guy's got a bunch of these little worms coiled around the base of his staff, and so I'm just trying to twist it and get all these little parts. And there's going to be parts I miss, like I said earlier. Not going to worry. Also, I'm going to get parts of this staff, and again, not going to worry. There will be parts where I'm going to have to be a little more careful, like when I'm cleaning up the staff, for example. But yeah, I don't think it's a problem. And my hands are a little shaky sometimes too, so like, try to give yourself a little grace. Oh, look at that! I didn't even notice it. Look at this little smiling face down here. Love that. We'll make him purple too. He's got like a little smiling Nurgle face on it. Little Nurgling guy. Okay, there's a lot of little veins on his chest from little tentacles. I'm going to try to get those with the brush. And we'll see how I do. I'm kind of trying to not stab at it. I'm trying to kind of hit it with a little bit of the side of the brush, which you may have heard people talk about. I think that that's a pretty good way to get some of these other raised details, is hitting the side of the brush. Like this little, one of my favorites, the little Nurgling that's got his head stuck in here. Like, for example, I can take the side of the brush and I just kind of, and you can kind of hit the raised areas. It's a little tough because I'm hitting this other little face here, but that's a way to get some of those like raised shoulder areas if you're worried about getting paint everywhere. But yeah, no, that's super cute. I love those. Let's get his little leg too. His little belly. And then you can see his little cutie patootie just hanging out here because he done got stuck in the little staff. I don't even know what this guy's called in the kill team rules. He's probably got some name, like he's an icon bearer or something like that. I haven't actually played the new edition of Kill Team. It looks fun. It looks like the rules are a little bit improved from the last edition, which is nice. But if I'm being real honest, I don't actually get to play very often. I mostly paint. And that's okay. We all enjoy our hobby in different ways. And for me, I do really enjoy the painting and the building of stuff. He's got some goop on his shoe. This might be a horn, but I think I'm going to paint it purple for right now. And just looking at the back of him here, I think the rest of this is okay. Yeah, I think that we're fine. So I'm going to move on to the next one. I'm going to clean my brush out. You can admire my really dirty painting mat and my palette that I really should scrape. So I'm going to get some more paint here. I'm going to try to make sure it's nice and smooth. Smooth consistency. This guy doesn't have as many tentacles, but we do have a nasty lad. So we're going to get him painted up here. Just sitting on the base going, love that for him. Or them, you know, I don't know. I shouldn't assume a Nurgling's gender. Alright, let's get his little butt painted right there. I'm going to have to paint between this guy's legs to get the other part, which, you know, that's always a little dicey. But I didn't catch anything else, so that's good. And did I miss anything? Yeah, I just stopped there a little bit. This guy's got a few horns. He's got a little tentacle coming out of his leg here. I'll go ahead and I'll get that. Overshot and hit the armor a little bit, but that's okay. We'll fix it in the next step. And do we got anything on the back here? Sometimes it's tough to pick out the little weird fiddly details because these guys really do have a lot. Like if we were painting some Stormcast or something, a much more straightforward model to paint. But I still think that these guys are good for beginning painting because the finished product, like you can paint them like really fancy if you're like, you know, a top tier painter or someone who likes a clean aesthetic. But these guys are known for being grimy. So I feel like that gives you a little creative license to, you know, be a little messy and be okay with it. Once again, we got a little buddy. He's drooling all over himself. We gotta paint him. Get his little tummy painted and stuff. I really do love these little guys. Let's kind of just get all over there. I don't think I can get between the legs to get the back of this guy easily. But I'm going to try to thread the needle a little bit from the side. There we go. He has some paint on his back. That is more than I think most people will see. I'm going to stab a little between the legs, but honestly, it's unlikely that anyone will see it. So we're just going to take some comfort in that. Now this guy's got three big pustules on his chest here. So we're going to get those. And again, just kind of roughly getting them in there. Not going to worry. That last one, I'm just getting some of this violet on there. We're probably not going to touch that one too much because the gun is blocking it a bit. And, you know, why torture ourselves? And then we've got these little crusties happening up here. We could paint these pink, but I'm thinking I might put like rust effects and verdigris covering that. So I'm not gonna worry about that one too much. I am gonna put this little hole here and this little divot here. And I think that's everything for this guy. He's actually pretty straightforward. Oh, he's got a little hole in his forearm here. Go ahead and give that a little go. Just daub a little there. Oh, there's a little tentacle bit hanging off his forearm. Okay, so we got that one. And we're down to our last one, which is good because I almost put out the perfect amount of this paint. I hate when I have to waste stuff, so... Oh, heck yeah, it's the little guy with a little fire hose of, I don't know, phlegm or whatever gross stuff he's got. Ready to make some people have eternal diarrhea or whatever Nurgle does to people. Yeah. Okay. Kind of getting his back again. Running the risk of hitting the Death Guard's chest, but you know what? It's okay. Just putting a little bit. I can't really get through the legs because of the cape. I'm going to be reminded this entire tutorial or paint along that I should paint in sub-assemblies. But you know what, dear viewer? That's probably not going to stop me. I like the little face on this. I'm tempted to paint this, just this part, like a fleshy tone. Like it's growing out of the armor plate. I like that. And we got a little friend who's sitting up on his backpack here. So we'll get this guy set together. Looks like I'm going to have just enough to hopefully get a little bit of this violet on everything that needs it. And he's got these teeth here. Now I'm going to do something a little different, and I'm going to put this paint on it, but I know that we're actually going to paint over this. But I'm still going to put some pink here, because I'm going to have pink around the outside of the little teeth, and then the teeth themselves I'm going to paint the same color as the bones. And yeah. And I also am going to put a little pink around this area where he's got some machinery like pushing out of his skin, just to kind of like show some kind of like gore or like inflamed, you know, injury from that. And then yeah, so there's that. This is the last of these little guys, getting that pink going. And then in the next step, we'll go ahead and we'll do the bone colors.